Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Kamran Sultan, and we are starting our NLP Practitioner Certification Training. Today is September 20th, 2025. And this is the 97th time I'm conducting a practitioner training. That means I have conducted NLP practitioner training for 96 times. And you can imagine इतनी बार करने के बाद कुछ ना कुछ समझ में आ जाना चाहिए. वैसे अभी तक आया नहीं है, but still I'll try to make sure that आपको कुछ ना कुछ समझ में आ जाए. So I welcome both your conscious and your unconscious minds to this class. आज का हमारा जो session है, this is our first session, and most of the things that we'll be doing is theory. And from tomorrow, there are lots and lots of exercises. Okay, so NLP is hands-on experience. So इसको हम experience से सीखते हैं. Before we begin, understand this. NLP is about observation. So I want you to notice some things. What what is this?
Flower.
Yes. What is this?
Flower.
And what is this?
Circle. Face.
Smiley
Smiley
face.
face.
Yes.
And what is this?
Car.
Okay. Now notice these are your observations, right? What if I tell you it's none of those things?
Yeah.
It's none of the things that you said they are. All of these things, these are just some lines that I made. And your brain and you are interpreting it and making an assumption. Oh, this is a flower. This is a happy face. This is a car. And we make those assumptions. NLP is not about making assumptions. NLP is about observations. NLP begins with observation. हम NLP में, हम इस ट्रेनिंग में जितनी भी चीजें करेंगे, हम जो भी चीज करेंगे, will be based on observations. Okay, and we will be making observations, and we'll be talking about observations, and we'll be making our ability to observe things more and more accurate. So क्या होता है कि हम अक्सर interpretations के अंदर फंसे होते हैं. So somebody walks into our office, we see that person, and we assume, make an interpretation, oh, this person is such and such kind of person, and we start dealing with that person according to our assumptions of the person. And as a result, because we have made an assumption, we often end up in wrong directions. So हम यहाँ पर जो बात करेंगे, it's not based on our interpretations, but we'll talk on the basis of our observations, and you will do some exercises, inshallah, starting tomorrow, hopefully something today as well, that will help you understand what observation and it's like how you make those distinctions. लेकिन हमें क्योंकि एक आदत बनी हुई होती है, हम एक छोटी सी चीज को भी देखते हैं तो हम उस पर ऑब्जर्वेशन के बजाय इंटरप्रिटेशन कर रहे होते हैं, और हम ये अज्यूम कर रहे होते हैं कि हम ऑब्जर्वेशन कर रहे हैं. So हम यहाँ पे जो भी कुछ करेंगे, this will be based on observations. Okay, and we'll talk about observations, and we will practice making observations. So your observation skills will get sharper, and you will find that you'll be able to see things, from a different perspective. So with that in mind, let's first understand how can you make the most out of this program? How can you make the most out of this time that we'll be spending together in this training? So there are a few things. Number one, know your hidden agenda. Why are you attending this training? Why are you here? Now, you may have some conscious reasons for that. The conscious reasons, अगर आपसे कोई पूछे जी आप ट्रेनिंग क्यों अटेंड कर रहे हैं, एनएलपी की ट्रेनिंग क्यों कर रहे हैं, जी कामरान सुल्तान साहब के साथ क्यों कर रहे हैं, you will have some answers for that. But deep down inside, there's another answer. And that's what I mean by hidden agenda. There is something inside you that tells you that you need this. There is something inside you that tells you there is something missing. This training, these skills can fill up that gap. I want you to pay attention. What is that for you? It's different for everyone. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's nothing. There is nothing about right or wrong here. Let's just pay attention to yourself. So observe yourself. Observe and notice and find out what that hidden agenda is. Okay. And that's an important thing. Throughout this training, I may be saying things, I may be, commenting in a way. Sometimes you may find up like he's making fun of me. You may feel uncomfortable with some of the stories that I share. You may feel uncomfortable with some of the comments I make. So bear with me, because that is the time जब आपको self reflection की जरूरत है. Okay, because किसी शख्स का एक comment अगर आपके इमोशंस को झंझोड़ रहा है, तो it's like आपको अपने इमोशंस पे काम करने की जरूरत होगी. Okay, so whenever you come across that kind of thing, जब मेरी कोई स्टोरी, कोई मेरा कमेंट, मेरी कोई बात आप it's like, and I'll make sure that happens. Okay, the other thing that at the end of each day, हम लोग क्योंकि 6 घंटे तक साथ होंगे रोजाना, and at the end of each day, my hope is, my expectation is, okay, you will have this feeling, it's too much, I can't handle it. Okay. And I'll be doing that. And I'll make sure that happens. And if it doesn't happen, okay, let me know. And I'll make sure you have that experience. And there's a reason for that. And I'll let you know what that reason is. But I will be giving you a lots of information for your conscious mind. And your conscious mind cannot hold all of that information. हमारा जो conscious, and we look into that, conscious और unconscious के अंदर जो difference है हमारी processing में. So हमारा जो conscious mind, it can hold certain amount of data. तो हमारा जो unconscious है, it holds a lot more data. So there will be information which I'll be sending to your conscious mind, which you will not be able to hold. And then it's, you'll find it sinks deeper at a deeper level in your. So NLP की जो training होती है, इसका कोई, slow, you have the manual. We may or may not be following the manual. We may or may not be doing exercises in the manual. Okay, because मैं जब training करा रहा होता हूँ, so I just customize the training based on who's in front of me and what they need. Yes, we will be following a specific, curriculum, but still that curriculum will be adjusted according to you, according to, the students in front of me, according to what you bring, according to what you need. So there may be some exercises जो कि हमारी manual में हो, and there may be some exercises जो कि हमारे manual में ना हो. So we will be doing that. Now, so the first thing to make the most out of this program, as I said, is to know your hidden agenda. Why are you attending this training? That's the first thing. The next thing, set an intention to achieve transformation instead of gathering information. NLP training is not about gathering information. अगर आपने खाली NLP के बारे में information चाहिए हो, मेरे YouTube channel पे there are over 600 videos, 650 videos so far. Okay, YouTube पे information भरी हुई है, हजारों की तादाद में किताबें हैं. You can go to any, chat GPT and ask any NLP related question, you will find that. Okay. Information overload हुआ हुआ है. You will find information anywhere you go. You don't have to take any training अगर आपका मकसद खाली information है. Okay. NLP training, not my training at least, it's not about getting information. So अगर आपने information चाहिए हो, तो training के अंदर बैठने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. It's not about gathering information. It's not about taking notes. So it's like some of you may, start taking notes and I'll tell you not to take notes. Okay. But people sometimes they have this कि जी मैं notes लेके मुझे याद होता है, तो फिर जब next time होगा तो फिर मैं घर जाके इसको, के class के बाद में इसको rewind करूँगा. You don't have to take notes. Okay. Take notes here. Take notes here. You will remember them. Okay, NLP is an experience, and your transformation here comes through that experience. And I'm creating an experience for you. I'm not just delivering information for you. So इंफॉर्मेशन जहां तक अगर ताल्लुक है, अगर आप इसलिए क्लास के अंदर आए कि जी मैंने इंफॉर्मेशन लेनी है, दैट विल बी वेस्ट ऑफ योर टाइम. सो डोंट थिंक इन टर्म्स ऑफ गेटिंग इंफॉर्मेशन और मुझे याद नहीं रहेगा, फॉरगेट इट. आपको याद नहीं रहने की जरूरत भी नहीं है. मुझे आज तक याद नहीं हुआ इतनी बार कर करके. लाइक आई जस्ट मेंशन आई एम डूइंग इट फॉर 97th टाइम. आई डोंट रिमेंबर एवरीथिंग. So it's not about remembering, it's about having that experience. Okay, so what we are doing is we are creating an experience and we are going through an experience, and that experience is what creates transformation. So set an intention to transform yourself in a positive way. Okay, and I'm not the one who will transform you. You are the one. You will see that. Then we will be recording. As you can see, I'm already recording all of this, and I'll be recording all of these sessions. So anything you say, anything that you share can and will be used against you. No, it will not. But we will have it in recording so other people in future. My courses, मेरे जितने भी home study courses and they are available on my website. So this course will also be available for people to watch in future, inshallah ta'ala. And if you're watching it in sometime in future, I mentioned this to these people. So, you are my witness now. Okay. So all of these sessions will be recorded and are being recorded. So anything that you share will be available in the public domain. I just want you to know that. When you have a question to ask, please ask me, not ask your other class participants. Okay. They know as much as you do. Okay. And hopefully I will have answer to your questions, because इतनी बार करा के जनरली वो होता है कि जी फ्रीक्वेंटली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, वही क्वेश्चंस बार बार आ रहे होते हैं. सो आई मे बी एबल टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन. आई डोंट हैव आंसर्स टू ऑल क्वेश्चंस. ओके, आई डोंट नो एवरीथिंग. I know few things, and hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions if you have questions. So feel free to ask me any question about anything. Generally, and I'll keep asking you if you have any questions. लेकिन हम लोग towards the end of the session, we will have a specific question answer session each day. And if you have any questions, any personal questions you want to ask, feel free to. Okay, so inshallah ta'ala, I'll see if I can. I will definitely answer your questions. If I can't, I'll let you know. Now make sure, and this is for people who are attending live, that you attend 90% of the live training. Okay, not the recording, live training. And if you're watching it in recording, you don't have to. Okay, you can watch it at your own pace. Lekin, since ये जो training है, this is a Society of NLP license certification training. Your certificate is issued by the man who created NLP, Dr. Richard Bandler, and his Society of NLP, which is the original certifying body in NLP. So you make sure that you attend the class. So and Society of NLP requires that. मुझे पर्सनली कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, आप क्लास में नहीं आए जी, कोई मसला नहीं. लेकिन you will not get certificate if you don't come to the class. But if you want to get certified through Society of NLP, you want to have the most authentic certificate in NLP, something you can display. And about speaking about certificates, NLP is not about certificates. Okay? Your certificate indicates that you have taken a quality training, but NLP, ये जो field है, NLP, hypnosis, life coaching, it's not about certificates. ये एक unregulated इंडस्ट्री है. अनरेगुलेटेड इंडस्ट्रीज वो होती हैं जिसको कोई गवर्नमेंट बॉडी कोई रेगुलेट नहीं कर रही हो. सो जितनी भी इसमें सर्टिफाइंग बॉडीज हैं, these are all private businesses. Okay, so all private businesses issuing their own certificates. So for example, there are students, मेरे students हैं जिन्होंने मेरे पास hypnosis trainers training की है, and now they are issuing their own certificates. At one time they got certificates from me, now they are issuing their own certificates. So certificates just indicate that where you have taken your training. असल में अगर आप इस फील्ड में प्रोफेशनली इसको कोई प्रैक्टिस करना चाह रहे हो, if somebody wants to work as a life coach, for example, what you need is skills, and it is that skill that counts. I understand कुछ ममालिक के अंदर लाइसेंसिंग के लिए या लीगैलिटीज के उसमें सर्टिफिकेट्स की जरूरत हो सकती है, लेकिन इस इंडस्ट्री में as of now and September 20th 2025 मेरी नॉलेज में कोई ऐसी गवर्नमेंट सर्टिफाइंग बॉडी नहीं है जो कि इन चीजों को दे लुक आफ्टर करती हो. सो सर्टिफिकेट्स जो है, these are more like souvenirs than anything. Okay. Then, if you wish to leave due to some valid reason, जैसे हमने कहा नमाज के लिए, just simply please privately message me and that's enough. Minimize distraction. Since we are doing it online, एक चीज तो ये क्या है, I'm asking you to keep your cameras on so I know, how you're responding. The other thing is कि हो सकता है आपके फैमिली में बच्चे हों, हो सकता है कोई दूसरी चीज हो रही है. So you just make sure you minimize those distractions, especially during exercises. And if you volunteer to be a demo subject in something that I'm doing, you make sure that there are no distractions. And similarly, you need to also make sure कि आपका मोबाइल जो है या आपका लैपटॉप जो है, this is charged enough that you can attend the whole session and you have good internet connection. You make sure all of those things in before every session ताकि हमारी सेशन के दौरान आपको इस चीज का कोई प्रॉब्लम ना हो. Then have an open mind and use your sense of humor. NLP cannot be learned seriously. कुछ लोग होते हैं क्लासेस के अंदर बड़ी सीरियस. अभी 3-4 रोज पहले मेरे किसी के साथ सेशन हुआ एंड दिस पर्सन वाज लाइक इज बिल्कुल सीरियस होते हैं. एंड honestly इतनी सीरियस हो जब मैं किसी को देखा, I started laughing. I've never seen someone so serious. So don't try to be serious. Use your sense of humor. Okay, and enjoy. Have a playful attitude. That's how you will learn. If you become too serious learning about NLP, you will not learn anything, and I'm telling you now. Okay, don't try to be serious. Be willing to fail and know there is no such thing as failure. Okay, there will be times when you do something and you seem it doesn't work. It doesn't mean you have failed. It simply means what you did not work. ओके, ये जो अभी मैंने आपको कुछ लाइंस दिखाई थी और आपने उसको इंटरप्रेट किया था, कभी कभी हम ये इंटरप्रिटेशन हम कोई काम करते हैं एंड वो नहीं होता, तो फिर हम अब उसको इंटरप्रेट करते हैं दैट आई हैव फेल्ड. यू हैव नॉट फेल्ड. व्हाट यू वर डूइंग डिड नॉट वर्क. ओके, सो बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कोचिंग सेशंस में मेरे पास लोग आते हैं एंड दे से थिंग्स लाइक एज इफ देयर इज समथिंग रॉन्ग विद देम. So, for example, somebody tried to do something, start a business or a job or a relationship, and it didn't work. And they make an assumption that there is something wrong with them. So, जब ये assumption हो कि there is something wrong with them, so the solution is to work on themselves to, ताकि वो जो भी उनकी गड़बड़ है उसको सही किया जा सके. And I often tell people, there is nothing wrong with you. What's wrong is what you were doing. So just imagine कोई शख्स जो है, कोई कुक है, खाना बना रहा है, उसके पास एक रेसिपी है और वो रेसिपी जो है वो रेसिपी खराब है, उस रेसिपी में कोई गलती है, और वो जब खाना बनाते हैं उस रेसिपी को फॉलो करते हुए खाना खराब हो जाता है. जब खाना खराब होता है वो दूसरी बार उसी रेसिपी को यूज करके फिर बनाता है, फिर खाना खराब हो जाता है. वो तीसरी बार फिर उसी रेसिपी को यूज करके फिर बनाता है और फिर खाना खराब हो जाता है. And the cook gets to this assumption there is something wrong with me. Okay? मेरी किस्मत ही खराब, मेरे ऊपर कोई बंदिश है, मुझे नजर लग गई है और something else, so मुझे अपना इलाज करना चाहिए. जबकि उसका solution was very simple, and that is you change that recipe, use a different recipe, a recipe that works. So sometimes people make that assumption just because they tried to do something, it did not work. They make that assumption there is something wrong with them. No, there is nothing wrong with you or in you. It's just that what you were doing did not work. So, when you're doing these exercises, जो कि हम लोग यहाँ पे कर रहे होंगे, and you may feel it didn't work, I will remind you of this. I'll remind you of this many times. You have not failed. It's just that it did not work. Okay? The way you did it, it did not work. Okay. So be prepared to have lots of fun, and inshallah you will see we will have lots of fun and participate actively. So don't hold yourself back. Feel free to ask me any questions. If I can, I will answer. And please do not coach others. That's my job. Okay. मैं एक आलिम के दर्स में बैठा हुआ था and somebody asked a question, and this is a very common thing by the way. And आप देखोगे YouTube के ऊपर ऐसा होता है, कभी कोई आलिम लाइव आया हुआ है and he's saying something and somebody posts a question and somebody who's also attending starts answering the question. This is the hadith about this and this is the fatwa about this. Okay, relax. Okay, वो आलिम है जो बैठा हुआ है. Okay, let them handle this. So यहाँ पर भी, if anybody has a question and they need any coaching, please let me do that. That's my job. You don't have to answer just because somebody is asking a question. There may be something for you to learn in that. Okay, so that's important. And on top of it, throughout the training, at the end of each weekend, I may give you some tasks. यानी हम जो चीजें सीखते हैं, कभी कभी ऐसा होता है हम कोई चीज सीखते हैं, हमें क्लास में लगता है समझ में आ गया, फिर हम जब उसको जिंदगी में जाके अप्लाई करते हैं तो फिर हमें कुछ डिफरेंस फील होता है. व्हाट वी विल बी डूइंग हियर इज कि हम जो चीजें कर रहे हैं, मैं आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू सम एक्स टास्क्स टू डू ड्यूरिंग द week before our next class, and that's the best part of it. And this is what I want you to understand. ये जो ट्रेनिंग है हमारी, इट विल गो फॉर 5 weeks, लेकिन आपकी जो लर्निंग है, इट्स नॉट इन क्लास ओनली. इट्स बेसिकली वो जो गैप बिटवीन क्लास होगा, उसके अंदर यू अप्लाई ऑल ऑफ दी स्किल्स दैट यू लर्न एंड सी व्हाट वर्क्स फॉर यू एंड व्हाट डजंट वर्क. Okay, and then you keep building your skills throughout the program. So जो बीच में हमारे 5 दिन का गैप होगा, so you'll have classes on Saturday, Sundays, and then from Monday to next Friday, आपके पास जो time होगा, उसमें I want you to do those, some apply some of the skills that you're learning and see how it, has an effect in your life, personal or professional. Do not wait till end. जब training खत्म हो जाएगी तो मैं start करूंगा. Okay, that is not how it works. हम जो चीजें आज और कल करेंगे, go and start applying them. Okay, and see how it works. So जब हम next week मिले, you already have some experience, some hands-on experience. So get your hands dirty. Okay. मैंने जब start किया था, just like about तकरीबन आज से 30 साल से ज्यादा हो गया, 1992 की बात हो गई है. तो फर्स्ट टाइम मैंने कंप्यूटर यूज किया, मैंने जॉब करी. मेरे जो बॉस थे, वो हमारी इनिशियल ट्रेनिंग में सेल्स में था, तो हमारी जो मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम मैंने कभी कंप्यूटर यूज नहीं किया था. मेरे जो बॉस थे, उन्होंने मुझे अपने कंप्यूटर के आगे बिठा दिया. वो डेस्कटॉप कंप्यूटर हुआ करते थे जमाने में, 286. तो उन्होंने उसके आगे मुझे बिठा के उन्होंने कहा कि जी ठीक है, आप तुम जो हो इसके ऊपर जस्ट स्टार्ट टाइपिंग, जो करना है करो, खेलो इस पे, जो करो. He just wanted me to become comfortable with that. Now, and he said कि कुछ नहीं होगा, फटेगा नहीं, वो परेशानी की बात नहीं है. अगर समझ में नहीं आया ना, अगर फंस जाओ कहीं पे, तो ये बटन है, उस पे रीसेट लिखा हुआ, उन्होंने कहा ये दबा देना. ओके, एंड दैट्स हाउ आई लर्न. सो anything that you're learning here and you will be learning here, go and apply that. कुछ नहीं होगा, किसी का कोई पागल नहीं हो जाएगा, किसी का दिमाग खराब नहीं हो जाएगा. Okay, nothing wrong will happen. You will learn in that process. So have that attitude of learning wherever you go. Okay, learning is a never-ending process. और एक चीज जो मैं आपको बार बार you will hear from me, and that is repetition is the mother of skills. हम कोई भी स्किल जब बिल्ड करना चाहते हैं, उसके लिए repetition is the key. हम अगर कोई चीज रिपीट करते रहते हैं until it gets, it becomes second nature. So that is the key. Okay, so learning is very, very important. So I hope you get these ideas. Now, there is something important to know. NLP is not magic, yet the results you get with it are magical. Those who receive the greatest rewards are those who adopt a curious, playful attitude and commit to experiment with and apply what they learn each and every day. Okay? So remember this, adopt a curious, playful attitude. Learn each and every day. Then set daily practice goals that you can achieve alone or with someone. So you are becoming an NLP practitioner, and practitioner means someone who practices it. Not someone who has a certificate in NLP that you can show on Facebook. Okay, I am glad I have my certificates again. Okay, no, it's not about that. It's about having skills. The skills come through practice. Okay. So you make sure you practice on every single day. You apply things on yourself, you apply things on other people, people you interact with, you do that. The best part is NLP ke liye, you don't need any specific environment. You don't need any specific dress code. You don't need anything. You don't even need any other person to use these things. There was a time in my life, हम आप देखेंगे आगे चल के हम लोग जब लैंग्वेज पैटर्न्स वगैरह पे आएंगे हिप्नोसिस की, आई यूज्ड टू प्रैक्टिस. मैं बाइक होती थी, मैं सेल्स की जॉब करता था, ना आई वाज लाइक लर्निंग दीज थिंग्स. मैं इवन उस जमाने में मैंने कोई प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग नहीं की थी, मैं किताबों से पढ़ के उस जमाने में सीख रहा था. आई यूज्ड टू स्पीक आउट लाउड. बाइक पे जा रहे हैं जोर जोर से बात करते हुए. आज आप अगर कर रहे हो तो कोई दूसरा समझे जी ब्लूटूथ पे बात करोगे, मोबाइल पे होगा. उस जमाने में कोई देखता हो तो सोचता हो बेचारे जवानी में पागल हो गया, अकेले बातें करते जा रहे हैं. ओके, आई यूज्ड टू डू दैट ऑन रोड. ऊंची आवाज में बात करता हुआ. व्हाई, व्हाट वाज आई डूइंग? आई वाज एक्चुअली प्रैक्टिसिंग speaking out hypnotic language patterns and applying them in my job, in my sales career. I wasn't selling. So practice. Set daily practice goals. That is the only key. That is the only key. So each day focus on succeeding even in small areas, because success builds success. Okay, small छोटी सी कामयाबियां, छोटे कामयाब steps, as you keep building those steps, every day you feel successful. लोग क्या करते हैं कि छोटी सी चीज या बड़ी सी कोई भी चीज करते हैं, उसमें नाकाम होते हैं, and then फिर they from that नाकामी they start something else, and they're coming already from a nakam state of mind. But what I'm saying, if you do something that you know you will succeed in, so you are already in that successful mode, and you come from success to another success. So your brain learns to make you feel successful, and you become more and more successful. It's a cinch by the inch and hard by the yard. Okay, start on the right direction, in the right foot. And NLP is not about techniques, remember that. Okay, sometimes लोगों को कौन सी टेक्निक अच्छी होती है. Okay, आप देखेंगे इस ट्रेनिंग के अंदर हमारा लास्ट डे में जाके हम टेक्निक्स पे बात करेंगे. हमारी ये सारे दिनों में 9 दिन तक हम लोग टेक्निक्स को खाली बस नाम आएंगे. ओके, बट टेक्निक्स करने वाले आप देखें कोई 10 मिनट की टेक्निक है, 5 मिनट की टेक्निक है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट टेक्निक्स. बहुत बड़ी मिस्टेक मैं देखता हूं लोगों को करते हुए. They assume that NLP is about technique. It's not about techniques. So soon you may find yourself absolutely surprised and delighted to begin noticing how the other areas of your life change too, because there is something you say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you change one thing, everything else also starts. So you will have those ripple effects in your life. Once you start making some changes in one area of your life, you find other things also. So, for example, your mood gets better because you're feeling good, your mood is good. You find you relate to other people in a better way. Because you relate with other people better, your relationships improve. Because your relationships improve, you find that, you're able to influence more people. And you find because you're influencing more people, you are able to, generate more business. And because you're able to generate more business, you are making more money. Now, because you are making more money, you find that the other things in your life become more easier. It's that simple. It's one thing. How you do one thing, that everything, it will have that ripple effect. Lekin hota kya hai, generally, people start with bad mood. And then with bad mood, they treat other people badly. And then they have bad relationships. And then they have more stress and their performance declines and their business suffers and their relationships suffer. And then everyone is like, bah, bah, bah. Okay, you change that one simple thing and you find things start changing. Okay, it's not about techniques. Remember that. NLP is not about techniques. So, and it's not about certificates. Okay. So, take credit for your changes, for all the changes you're making. I'm not going to take credit for your success. Okay. You will not find many, you will not find me kahin pe aapko ye dekho ji mera student ye successful ho gaya to maine kuch kiya tha. It's you're doing it. I'm just showing you a direction. Okay. So you live, love, enjoy each day to make the fullest with passion and fun. And that's how you will keep learning more and more and more. And remember this, what you learn in NLP is extremely powerful, and it produces results. The first person, the very first person you must do NLP with is yourself, you yourself. What happens with a lot of people, आपने देखा होगा ना, कुछ लोग होते हैं उन्होंने कोई दीन पढ़ना शुरू किया, उसको उनको कोई हदीस पता चली, उस हदीस के अंदर उन्होंने कोई कुछ अजाब की कोई बात पता चली, और या कोई कोई खराब चीज पता चली, उन्होंने कहा ये सीधा मेरा पड़ोसी है ना, पक्का जहन्नुमी है। ओके, सीधा फतवा उसके ऊपर लगा दिया। जब कोई चीज पढ़ो सीखो तो सबसे पहले अपने आप को देखो, रिफ्लेक्ट ऑन योरसेल्फ, बिकॉज व्हाट यू विल फाइंड इज, और हम इस पे इंशाल्लाह डिटेल में आज बात करेंगे, what we see in others is somehow a reflection of our own selves. Otherwise, we cannot see those things. The reason we can see something is because there is something here. That's the only reason. We'll talk about that. So the first person, when you learn these things, oh, अच्छा, अब मैं इसके साथ यूज करूंगा तो मैं उसके साथ यूज करूंगा तो अब मैं इसको यूज करूंगा, forget it. इस चीज को छोड़ दीजिए. Think about how you can use this to make yourself better. Okay? When you become better, you'll find others start changing. When you change, there's this saying, it says, when you change the way you look at things, things you look at change. When you change the way you look at life, your life starts changing. When you change the way you look at yourself, you start changing. Change your perspective on things. Okay. So apply these things on yourself first. That's the first thing to understand. It's very important to understand. You must do NLP with yourself, and your unconscious knows it's most important. Experience shows to learn NLP, it's best to have a curious, playful attitude with a firm commitment to experiment and apply what you learn each and every day. People who become too serious about becoming NLP become stifled in their creativity. Please don't be serious. Not in my class. Okay. मैं कभी कभी आपको हाथ जोड़ूंगा, अल्लाह का वास्ता है भाई, सीरियस मत बैठो मेरी क्लास में. Okay, so keep that in mind. So how do you learn? Let's talk about that. So far, is this clear, everyone? I can imagine there are some people watching on YouTube maybe wondering कि क्या हो रहा है. Okay. So is this clear, Mansoor?
Yes.
You joined finally.
जी सर, ऑल क्लियर, थैंक यू.
ओके, मैंने आप लोगों का अभी तक इंट्रोडक्शन भी नहीं लिया है और मैं बोलता जा रहा हूँ, ये मेरी बड़ी बुरी आदत है. ओके, एक जमाना था मुझे चंद मिनट बात करना बड़ी मुश्किल लगता था. फिर एक जमाना ये आया कि लोग कहते हैं भाई चुप हो जाए यार. ओके, तो होता है.
Shall we remind you?
हाँ, आपके एक प्लीज अल्लाह के वास्ते चुप हो जाइए, क्लास खत्म कर दीजिए, हमें जाना है, हमारे यहाँ बहुत देर हो गई है, रात के 12 बज रहे हैं. It's like I've had NLP practitioner classes, 10-10 घंटे की भी क्लासेस हुई है. 10 घंटे तो नॉर्मल वैसे होती है, लाइक 12-12 घंटे की. ये जो मेरी जो लाइव क्लास होती है जो सुबह 10 बजे शुरू होती है एंड शाम को 7 बजे खत्म हो रही होती, वो कभी 9 बजे, एक दफा 10 बजे भी खत्म हुई है. ओके, और वो मेरा कसूर नहीं था, स्टूडेंट जाने को तैयार नहीं थे. Okay. So let's continue. Let's understand how you learn. Let's understand the process of learning. Okay. So how do you learn? How did you learn anything? If you think about that, how did you learn to read? What happened was, if you remember, in the beginning, when you did not know how to learn, you were shown some images and you were told some sounds. And then you repeated that. You repeated those images. You were repeatedly shown those images and you repeated those sounds until your brain started associating those sounds with those images. Okay. A, B, C, Alif, B, B, B. It's like you repeated until it got ingrained in you. And then you were told to connect those sounds or those alphabets to make small words. CAT cat, BAT bat, CAB cab, and you connected those. And then you had probably books just and the pictures the on pictures ko your brain associated those things. And that's how you learn to read. That's how you learn to recognize letters. That's how you learn to make sense of what you were reading. But think about this. When you were learning to read, there was another child, just like yourself, who was also learning to read, just like yourself. A child who was also shown some images, just like yourself. A child who was also told some sounds, just like yourself. That child was also, being guided by someone, just like yourself. But that child was learning some other language. You were learning English or Urdu, but that child was learning probably German or Spanish or Farsi or Arabic. So when somebody told you Alif, Be, Te, the child who was learning Arabic was learning Alif, Ba, Ta. Or the child who was learning French or Spanish, or apparently they had exact similar images, but they were learning different sounds. And when they were learning different sounds, they began to connect those sounds differently. And when they began to connect those sounds differently, they began to make different words. The question is, who learned the right thing? Is it Alif, Be, Te, or Alif, Ba, Ta? Who's right? Who learned the right thing? The answer is both. It's not I learned the right thing and someone else learned the wrong thing. It's that they learned a different thing. Now, if you think about this, anything and everything that you know in your life, you learned at some stage in your life. Every child was born on fitrah. But then everything else that you and I have learned, this is the right thing and this is the wrong thing, this is a good thing and this is a bad thing, this is a good ice cream and this is a bad ice cream, this is a nice person and this is a not nice person, this is the right thing to do, this is the right side of clothes, this is the not right, anything that you and I have learned, we learn at some stage in our lives. We learn things about ourselves. I'm shy, I'm fearful, I'm depressed, or I'm confident. You learn everything. And anything that just because we learn, it doesn't make it right. And it doesn't make it wrong either. It remains as a learning. So if we have learned some things, if we have learned to think in a certain way, if we have learned to see the world in a certain way, if we have learned to make assumptions about things in a certain way, that doesn't make us right. And that doesn't give us the right to pass fatwas on other people just because, they don't follow my school of thought. They don't follow my understanding about things. Okay. So for example, if I learn that this structure is called a glass and this thing in it is called water, another person learned इसको पानी कहते हैं, another person learned इसको माँ कहते हैं. हमने कहा माँ तो भाई अम्मा होती है, क्या हो गया तुझे? माँ इसको माँ कहते हैं, दिमाग सही है. अब ख्याल रखना पाकिस्तानी हूँ, सऊदी अरब के साथ पैक्ट के बाद इसको आपने माँ ही बोलना. Okay, so but understand this. Okay, just because we have learned something and because we have learned about ourselves, about our health, about our relationships, about our finances, about money, about people in our life. Okay, we have learned certain things. And just because we have learned, that doesn't make it right. And that doesn't make it wrong either. It still remains as a learning. And that means there is more and other ways of learning as well. Now, when we learn, I'm sure you're well aware of this, but just as a quick reminder that हमारी जितनी भी जो learning होती है, it goes through different stages. हमारी जो first stage होती है, जिसे हम कहते हैं unconscious incompetence, where we don't know what we don't know. There was a time we did not know about NLP. मेरे पास अक्सर मैसेजेस आते हैं, जी मुझे कल ही NLP के बारे में पता चला है. कभी कभी मैसेज, अच्छा जी पाकिस्तान में भी NLP की ट्रेनिंग होती है जी, पिछले 30 साल से तो मैं तो हूँ करवा रहा, अब मुझे नहीं पता कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर होती है नहीं होती. लेकिन it's just because now we are not aware about something, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So the first stage is when we don't know what we don't know. And then we realize, okay, there is something called NLP. And NLP has, some effects. We may have seen a friend or a colleague or someone who had gone through this training and have some experiences. We find there is something different. Maybe trainings, it's a very, very common thing. You may experience this. Some people say, "Sir, log meri family mujhe keh rahe hain, there is something different in you." कुछ डिफरेंट लग रहे हो, तुम्हारा कुछ एटीट्यूड चेंज हो गया है, तुम्हारा कुछ अंदाज डिफरेंट हो गया. You look very happy, you look more relaxed, you look different. That's one of the common things that people say. So you come across someone, or you found that there is thing called neuro-linguistic programming, and you started learning it or learning about it, but you realize that, okay, there is something called NLP, but I don't know what it is. So that's when you enter this stage that you know that you don't know something. That's conscious incompetence. Now I know there is something called NLP. So हम जब इस training में जा रहे हैं, we will be learning things. You will be learning about anchoring, meta model, Milton model, hypnotic language patterns, timelines, strategies. And say, okay, now I know these things happen. I know there is something called submodalities, but I don't know how they work. I know the beliefs have an impact, but I don't know how to change those beliefs. I know my state of mind has an effect, but I don't know how to change my state. Okay. Now you're getting into that state. And as you get involved with this training, and as you get involved with all of these practices that we'll be doing, it's like you will be engaged consciously and unconsciously in these processes. And as you're engaged in these processes, and as you're learning, you will be building these skills. And you will be entering the third stage, where you will have conscious competence, where applying these skills that you're learning here, it will take some time. It will take concentration. It will take some focus. It's like, am I doing it right? Maybe I'm not. You will have that. It's a normal thing. It's perfectly okay. But as you continue, and as you practice, and as you continue to practice, you will enter the next stage. And that next stage is where you will know that you know. Okay, that's unconscious competence. That's when you will be using hypnotic language patterns with people. There will be times when you will be like anchoring people, not realizing you're doing them. There will be times when you'll be challenging your beliefs or other people's beliefs through your language. There will be times when you'll be using these things, and this will happen because you practiced, because you applied. No, remember, this is NLP practitioner training. Okay, someone who practices. So as you practice these skills, you will get good in them. Now, for most of you, by the end of this training, you will be at this third level, conscious competence. But जो मैंने आपसे कहा कि बीच में जो हम गैप आएगा उन दिनों में, as you apply these things, you will start getting into this next stage of unconscious competence. Now, इसके बाद is another stage, and that's the stage of NLP master practitioner level, and that is when things you can unlearn and relearn things. Okay, that's the next stage. So, but यहाँ पर हम जो ये वाली स्टेज है, हम यहाँ तक की बात कर रहे हैं कि अनकॉन्शियस कॉन्फिडेंस की. So, but mastery जो है, mastery किसी चीज में, it comes when our learnings drop out of our conscious awareness and becomes automatic and intuitive. Okay, that unconscious competence that is the beginning of that mastery level stage. Now, here is what you need to do. There is something about, what stops someone from learning, what stops from growing, what stops from someone from getting all of this is their judgments. Okay. फतवा जो हम अपने ऊपर भी लगाते रहते हैं और दूसरों पे भी लगाते रहते हैं. Okay. So you make sure you suspend your judgments. Why do we want that? Okay. What do we mean by that? Let's quickly look at that. And this is one of the biggest obstacles that obstacles you'll find. Judgments. Okay. Stop judging. Stop making judgments, because judgments create mental filters. It's like what they do is, think of it like हम कोई गिलास लगा लेते हैं जजमेंट के. फर्स्ट करो ये गिलास जो लगाया ना ये लाल रंग का है. तो अब हम हर चीज जो देख रहे हैं उसमें हमें लाल का शेड नजर आ रहा है. ना सिर्फ लाल का शेड नजर आ रहा है, बल्कि जब हम पीला देखते हैं वो पीला हमें ऑरेंज नजर आता है. तो हमारी ये जो जजमेंट के ग्लासेस हम लगा लेते हैं वो हमारी अपने लिए प्रॉब्लम्स करना शुरू कर देते हैं. Okay, we become biased. Oh, this is wrong, this is right. Stop that. That's not how you will learn. You must stop that. And I'll remind you of that. Okay, कभी-कभी हमारी tendency होती है. And then people want to know, मैंने क्या गलत किया है? Tell me मैं क्या गलत कर रहा हूँ? And I'll not tell you. Okay, because we'll not be focusing on that. Okay, we will not be making judgments. So stop making judgments, suspend your judgments, because जब आप चीजों को सही गलत के पैमाने पे तोलने लगेंगे, as I said, NLP is not about right or wrong. NLP is about what works and what does not work. If it works, use it. If it doesn't work, leave it. It's that simple. एक शख्स बीमार है, वो डॉक्टर के पास जाता है, डॉक्टर उसको दवा देता है, उसको फायदा होता है. एक दूसरा शख्स है, उसकी भी सिमिलर सिम्टम्स हैं, डॉक्टर उसको भी वही दवा देता है, उसको फायदा नहीं होता. अब दवा एक के ऊपर काम करी है, दूसरे पे नहीं करी. दवा सही है या गलत है? दवा अच्छी है या बुरी है? दवा ना अच्छी है ना बुरी है. दवा एक मरीज पे काम करती है, दूसरे पे नहीं करती. इवन दो अपेरेंटली दोनों की बीमारी है, दोनों के सिम्टम्स सेम थे. ओके, सो बट मेकिंग दोज जजमेंट्स कि दवा अच्छी है और दवा बुरी है इज अ मिस्टेक इन दैट केस. सो हाउ डू वी नो कि हम जजमेंट्स कर रहे हैं? And it's like when we stop making judgments, we operate from an open mind. But how do we know we are making judgments? जब हमारे जहन में किसी काम को करने से पहले ही हमने सोचा ये तो काम नहीं करेगा जी, ये तो नहीं हो नहीं सकता, ये कैसे हो सकता है? We have closed our doors. Okay, this is stupid. I don't believe this. Okay, I already know this. मुझे पहले ही पता था. And this is one of the things that I find a lot of people making this mistake. They read something, मुझे तो पहले ही पता था. मैं तो पहले बचपन से ये चीज मुझे तो जानता, मैं तो शुरू से ही ऐसे ही था, मैं तो शुरू में ही पता था. भाई साहब, अगर आपको पता होता ना, या बहन जी, अगर आपको पहले से पता होता तो फिर आप वहां नहीं होते जहां आप हैं. Do you understand? अगर आपके पास ये चीज थी और अगर आपको पता था और फिर भी आप उसको यूज नहीं करें, then I don't know what to say. So, this, मुझे तो पहले ही पता है. If you have that kind of pattern, and that's a very, very common, ये बच्चों वाली चीजें होती हैं, छोटे बच्चे होते हैं ना, वो मुझे पहले ही पता था. Okay, don't do that. This will not help you. Then, that's not how I do things. Okay, हमारा तरीका. There is no, it's like, this is, I learned alif be te, this is how it is. Okay, नहीं जी, शेख के बेटे ने सीखा था अलिफ बा ता. तो अब आपने शेख के बेटे की बात माननी होगी. So NLP is best learned and practiced with an attitude of curiosity and not judgment. So you make sure you remain curious, because curiosity leads to insights, deeper insights. You go in and you have more sights. That will help you grow and progress faster. Judgment, on the other hand, keeps you stuck. So do this. The next time when you hear yourself judging, whether you're doing it in class or out of class, when you are judging people, when you are making judgments about yourself, or making judgments about other people. This is how people should be. This is another thing, by the way, a way to judge. Okay? लोगों को तो ऐसा होना चाहिए. देखिए जी, होना यूं चाहिए. जब हम ये कहते हैं ना, होना यूं चाहिए, लोगों को करना यूं चाहिए, औरतों को वैसा होना चाहिए, मर्दों को वैसा होना चाहिए, पाकिस्तानियों को ऐसा होना चाहिए, that is our judgments. This is, we learn about this. हम लोग जब मेटा मॉडल पे आएंगे, you will see this. These are called modal operators. So it's like, I know how things should be. Okay. So once you get into this, then it becomes a problem. So the next time when you are doing this, just stop, pause, and ask yourself, what if I just say, oh, open a little longer? What will happen? If you just stay open a little longer, if you just stop making judgment, and if you just observe, okay, one of the biggest reasons people I see in problem is because they have assumptions and they are making judgments. दूसरों को कैसे बिहेव करना चाहिए, और जब दूसरे वैसे बिहेव नहीं करते जैसे इन हजरत के ख्याल में या मोहतरमा के ख्याल में उनको बिहेव करना चाहिए, तो इनकी जिंदगी अजीरन हो जाती है. ओके, बच्चों को तो वैसा होना चाहिए, मर्दों को तो वैसा होना चाहिए, वैसे नहीं. ओके, औरतों को वैसा होना चाहिए, नहीं है. सियासतदानों को, stop doing that. It's not helping. So we observe, okay, this is how people operate, this is how things work, this is how the life works, this is how things are. What can I do to make things better? Okay, so let's move on, and now we will learn what is NLP. Okay, so just let me stop recording here. And मेरे YouTube पे इस वक्त जो ख़वातीन और हज़रात हैं, उनको I would like to say thank you very much for joining. इंशाल्लाह I'll continue. हमारी अभी क्लास काफी सारी बाकी अभी तो स्टार्ट हुई है, हम डेफिनेशंस पे भी नहीं गए, लेकिन इंशाल्लाह we will start with the class and I'll take my leave from you. आप कल दोबारा I'll be going live on channel, so आप कल दोबारा हमें ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, इसी चैनल के ऊपर होगा. So you can subscribe, click the bell icon, as everyone says. Lekin, if you want to learn, there are many courses on my website, first-institute.com. Go check that. There are many courses. There are many possibilities of, when जब आप लोग सीखने के लिए आते हैं, and you start with this mindset, मैं नहीं कर सकता. When you start with this, ये बहुत महंगा है, मैं इसलिए नहीं कर सकता. You have closed yourself. आप अपने लिए प्रॉब्लम करते हैं. मैंने जब करना था, मेरे पास पैसे भी नहीं थे, मेरे पास कोई रिसोर्सेज भी नहीं थे, मैं भी पाकिस्तान में रहता था, उस वक्त कोई ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग ऑप्शंस नहीं थी. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आई डिड दैट बिकॉज आई डिड नॉट थिंक मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता, आई थॉट मैं कैसे कर सकता. अगर आप करना चाहते हैं, यू स्टार्ट थिंकिंग डिफरेंटली. व्हेन यू चेंज द वे यू थिंक अबाउट थिंग्स यू थिंक अबाउट विल स्टार्ट चेंजिंग फॉर यू. So, when you look at a course, and rather than seeing what the course is and what it can do for you, you look at कितने का है, and then you decide, क्योंकि इतना महंगा है मैं नहीं कर सकता. You are doing yourself a disservice. So if you want to change your life, if you really want to learn, change the way you are thinking about things. देखो कि कोर्स से आपके वैल्यू क्या है, and how you can do that. And by the way, मेरे जो ऑनलाइन कोर्सेस हैं, there are multiple options with every course. There is no way that you can say मैं सीख नहीं सकता अगर आप सीखना चाहते हो. प्रॉब्लम ये है कि मेजॉरिटी लोग पढ़ते नहीं है. ओके, एंड जब पढ़ते नहीं है तो फिर सीखेंगे कहाँ से? ओके, अल्लाह ताला ने हमें पहला कुरान में दिया, इक़रा, और करो. हम मुसलमान में इस एक कुरान के इस एक हुक्म पे हम कितना अमल करते हैं. So thank you very much. Inshallah, hopefully you will see me tomorrow and I'll see you